Tartufel. Tartufel the Spry. Any new pickups to report? Yes. This show is for you. It's Friday, wherever you're at. The amazing fans of Magic the Gathering who love the game as much as we do. Thank you, Tartufel, for tuning in today. Got a show for you folks today. It's getting down to the last couple of days of the year. We've got just a couple of more weekdays to go, and then that's it. 2023 is going to be in the bag. But what's in Brody's bag? Just got back from a best Christmas trip ever. I hope yours was a good one, and you're getting ready for some New Year fun with your friends. I tried Lorcana over the holidays. I'll give you a full report on how that went today on the show, as well as a recap on what we picked up over the weekend. What is a New Year's resolution to you, anyway? Is it just something that goes in one year and out the other? Let's make some New Year's resolutions here on the channel to see what everybody is up to and how you're going to handle that. What's a new digital camera? I got a new digital camera for Christmas. It was pretty great. Its New Year's resolution is 1080p, so it's going to be the same resolution each and every year. We use the camera, so thanks for the new presents. Got a little bit of stuff, had a little fondue, and was merry. Went to the zoo, fondue, and zoo. That's a good way. What did you do? That's a good way to spend the holidays. Fondue and zoo, light show, and a little Magic the Gathering Modern on the Monday. And then we went back to play a little bit of CEDH on Tuesday. And then Thursday was Legacy Night. Met some cool folks, and a shout out to those of you folks at Phoenix Games. A great place to pick up some singles. If you want to shop locally, that's a good place to go. If you want to know, new studio. No, the studio background is new. This is courtesy of Twiddler's Place. So thank you very much, Twiddler, for this. I won this over at the Twiddler's Place. It's actually a fantastic background. I really enjoy it. It's a Black Lotus wall art, and it's a 5-piece set. I got the 5-piece set, folks. Big thanks to Twiddler's Place. You can win some prizes over there if you tune in and you get a chance to play. Get yourself into a duck race. I even opened up before we took a trip on the holidays. I opened up my dual brain repacks. So talk about hits. I got myself a Mystic Remora in one of the repacks. I also got my very first Italian card, which is the Mystical Tutor. That's the blue one from the Mirage set. A really cool pickup. So a special thanks to Ed over at the Dual Brain channel. Really cool. Enjoyed that. I hope you folks got a chance to get some fun. And did we hear who got the hits? The big hits in the flea market repacks over there. 9.5 BGS graded. I believe there's like a Yawgmoth's Will in there, and maybe an Alley from Cairo graded as well. An Island Fish Jasconius, and a couple of other great moderate played dual lands. I picked up a tutor. It was very nice to see, and I got myself a dual brain pin for being part of the Patreon over there. Really like it. Johan Matuzzi, Happy New Year and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to you too, my friend. My resolution is to add a 9.5 foil and trim the fat of my collection. Trimming the fat. That's a good idea. Look back at some of the previous videos. Buy listing. It's a tricky thing to do. Do you know how to do it? I've kind of taken an approach to card sorting. So if you look at my card sorting videos, you can kind of see how I do it. Each and every person has their own way of sorting. Some go by sets, some by color, some by alphabet, some by a little bit of both. It makes it easy to buy list. I did have a garbage box. It's funny because I just keep a little card box, nothing bigger than one of these. And that's sort of what I put my traders in. I don't really pack binders with me. Like people go to events and say, "Do you have a trade binder?" I don't pack a trade binder. They're bulky and they're hard to open and leaf through. And I'd rather just put them in a box, and then it's anything that I'm like kind of ready to get rid of. Buy list to a vendor shop, or if you're going to mail it in, then the shipping fees are what are going to cost you. Holy ship happens. Ship some Christmas presents this year. We might do that a little differently. We're definitely overspent on the shipping costs. It is really expensive to send stuff around right now. I don't know how the big boys do it, like this order fulfillment straight from gaming sites like Amazon or eBay. You know, you have to pay the shipping on some of those, and some you get free shipping. So shipping is kind of a market that major stores, especially MTG retailers, are getting into to try to beat the cost of the local game store. I saw some interesting articles posted on the Twitter feed this Christmas holiday. The resealing of Amazon product is back, if you can believe it. People are now going back to the resealing and restocking over at Amazon. I saw a post of somebody opened a box of Commander Masters, all resealed. So support your local game store. So I have a hard time believing something like that would happen from a product purchased from a reputable game store. Long hair. DJ's in the house. How you doing, Mr. DJ? Nice to see you here. How you doing, buddy? Johan's in the house. All right. What are you guys up to today? Interesting show. So, speaking of buy listing, yes, I did get a chance to buy list over the holidays. Took my little box in, went in on a legacy night, and you know, trading is always vendoring into a store. Do you like the lineups? Do you not like the lineups? If you're prepared, you can actually make some traction when you're buy listing. A lot of people, if you have cards in binders and you're going to go to a vendor store and you're going to try and trade cards in on something, so you see something in the showcase, like a Gaia's Cradle or something that you want to pick up, then having all your cards in a binder is going to take a long time to leaf through, and whoever's leafing through it, there's going to be a lot of yes, no, I don't know, maybe so, ho, 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 bro show. And then you have to pull the cards out and then take them out of the sleeve. So the binder doesn't work for me. When you walk into a vendor store, like what happened to me, there was a young fella in front of me and he was going to buy list a small half inch thick slab of cards. He wanted to pick up some dinos for a standard tribal deck, and he was into about $68. So in like $2 and $3 cards, maybe a $5 card in there, maybe a bunch of $1 cards, it takes about an hour to go through and buy lists like 60 cards. So it takes a minute to look each one of them up, then you add them up, then you make a list. Having them in a binder is going to slow that process down. You're going to be like 2 hours or 3, and then having them in the little card box. And if you know what the prices are before you go and vendor them, just do a quick scan yourself and get an idea for the whole box, and then you're good to go. Drop that off at the counter. I'm going upstairs to play some Legacy. Let me know how close you can get me to a new Gaia's Cradle. Went back about in between second round, I think. Trent, he says, said somebody upstairs, he says, your store credit is ready to go. So in between rounds, I went down, made a deal. Sorry to my third round opponent because I was a little late, but that's the way it goes. Let's get into something here today. Let's go to the stock desk. Stock desk. We got MTG stocks. What do we got here? Let's take a look. There's a card that I really want to talk about here with you folks today. I'm excited for it. I saw it played multiple times. Is getting lots of chat about it on the Discord. Even actually not so much on Discord. I don't see anybody talking about. One person posted your favorite Merry Xmas spell. So that's any spell that has X in the casting cost. We're going to check it. That's 4th Aerolingus. Did you see the thumbnail? This card, I want to take a look at it with you folks here today. The 4th Aerolingus. I didn't know I didn't think there was a second and third Aerolingus, but the 4th Aerolingus is a card that's making waves in Legacy. Game stores are talking about it. People at events are playing it in 5 matchups that are 4 or 5 matchups that happened at the Legacy round on Thursday over the holidays. 4 out of 5 players playing this card. If you ever liked a card called Plateau. See, this is another reason why we've been talking about dual lands this year. Dual lands, a place to get into Magic if you're new. A lot of people having a tough time with getting into the Commander staples. But even earlier this year, see, just the first quarter of this year, right before, when did this card come out? Lord of the Rings, Tales of Middle-earth. So before this card was printed later this year, Plateau, let's take a look at the card Plateau, because now if you look at, and you want to know why, it's because of this card. If you want to look at which dual lands are the cheapest, it was typically the Plateau, the red-white Boros dual land. So that one has seen a little bit of a tick up in price here. Let's take a look at the Boros dual land, especially the revised version, simply because it's the cheapest one, and it's going to be the one that entry-level Legacy players are going to want to get into. Does Brody's pen work in here today? It is. Look at Brody's pen. That's all Brody wants to do is draw lines on charts, right? Right. All right, so right around here, we have Strixhaven and the Lord of the Rings, Tales of Middle-earth, Brothers War. Okay. 1, Dominaria 1, Bro, Penna. I don't see it. Not listed. But that's okay. Maybe I'm just missing something. But nevertheless, this was typically the cheapest of the dual lands. This one was rounding out about $400 consistently. But pre 2020, you could pick up a Plateau for 100 and a quarter or 100 and a half. And then back to 2017, 2018, this was definitely the cheapest of the dual land. Usually it was 4 of the cheaper dual lands, like the cheapest one, 4 plateaus to an underground sea. So if you could get plateaus, you're in a 250. Underground sea is usually the measuring stick for lands. But this scrub land, let's take a look at the scrub land. Are you guys playing this card? Scrubland 750 and Savannah. I think that's the cheap one now. Savannah. All right. 625. I don't know about these prices. 750. Well, that's an unlimited. Let's go with the revised. Revised. Let's revise that price. 313. Okay. 313 for a scrubby. And we got 337 for a plateau. And then the Savannah, let's check that one and revise as well. And revise as well. So we're like 300 and change for the Savannah and the Scrubland, 313, and the Plateau now bumped up and is no longer the cheapest one of the dual lands, and because of this card. So we're going to discuss the 4th Aerolingus. The 4th, it's just fun to say. It's fun. This is an X spell, so $24, 25 bucks for the 4th Aerolingus. So that's like $6 an Aerolingus. Okay. What does this do for you? Well, it's getting played in Legacy. You're going to hear more about this card. I'm sure you are. Boros Initiative deck played strictly in Legacy and maybe in Commander. Talked to a couple of folks in the Commander group, asked them if they had seen this card, played this card. They'd never heard of this card. So Legacy's kind of phased out of favor where I'm at. But this here card, it's X, a white, and a red, right? So the guy who cast it on me, he says Fireball, but he's like, I call it Fireball because it's better than Fireball. I'm like, really? So a red, a white, and X, and you get at sorcery speed X/2/2 human knight tokens with trample and haste. So they're tribal, so they're human knights, which is great. Lots of stuff that gives buffs to knights, like the History of Benalia. Whenever one or more of creatures you control deal damage, combat damage to one or more players this turn, you become the Monarch. So this triggers the Monarch, puts the Monarch token in play, and then if you're winning combat exchanges, this is going to draw you extra cards. Of course, the initiative deck's going to want to play it. And that is how it goes. A sword day, a red day. Here the sun rises. Right now, ride to Gondor. Fourth Aerolingus. Lost to this card a couple of times. So let's take a look at a deck list. Let's take a look at the price, because sucker came out and it's been on the rise. Now it's $30, $30 for the fourth Aerolingus. 25 to $30. Are you playing it? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's overrated? Are you going to hear more about this? The initiative deck seemed to be getting banned. The Plume Adventurer, it's seen a banning. I don't know if this card's really going to see a banning or not. But we'll give it some time. How high can it go? I think it can go higher, unless it sees a reprint recently, but it's good value in that. This is definitely going to go long for the Lord of the Rings set. Boros Initiative playing the Archon of Emeria is a $10 Archon from Zendikar, flying each. Okay, so stacks. Each player can't cast more than one spell each turn. On basics of your opponents enter the battlefield tapped. So that's going to shut that party down. Pretty good stacks piece, that Archon. Oh, Johan, you got a premiere? Is that Brody? Is that a Brody Alfonso Funko Pop? You bet it is. This is the Brody Alfonso Funko Pop. I got this for birthday, or for the birthday party. Mrs. Alfonso made it. It's pretty great. Smashy the like. Thank you, Johan. Okay, so the initiative deck's playing this Archon and some stacks pieces. It's got the Spirit Guide in there that you just discard. It makes a red. Then you got this guy here, the Caves of Chaos Adventure. Trampoline. Should we turn the chat on? Turn the comments on? Let's bring the chat overlay. Chat. We probably get the chat moving. Yeah, just give me a second. I'll get the chat going. What are you guys getting up to for New Year's? Let me know. Interested to know. Live chat. Post into my Discord. All right. Let's read the Caves of Chaos Adventure. Enters the battlefield, you take the initiative. Okay, so this is the card that gives you the initiative. So you get the initiative, which draws you cards, and then you also want to get the Monarch to go with it. Caves of Chaos Adventure is a 5/3, so it's a Juggernaut. Oof. 4 mana, trample. When it enters, you become the monarch, or you take the initiative that gets you into the dungeon, and then whenever Caves of Chaos Adventure attacks, exile the top card of your library. If you completed a dungeon, you may play that card without paying its mana cost. Otherwise, you may play the card this turn. So you get it for free if you completed the dungeon, and then if not, you can just play it. So this is drawing you cards. It's giving you the initiative. Then we got Eowyn the Fearless Knight, haste. Fearless Knight, so it's Boros as well. Fearless Knight enters the battlefield, exile target creature an opponent controls with greater power. Legendary creatures you control gain protection from each of that creature's colors until end of turn. Hard working Tom Mitchell says, just wanted to stop by and say hello and wish you a happy new year, bud. Thanks. Right on. Thanks, Tom. Nice to see you. Hope you had a good Christmas and are getting set for a happy new year. We're discussing the fourth Aerolingus. That's right. This card right here. I think it's like Go Forth Aerolingus. Pretty great card in Boros. Seen $25, pushing the cost of Plateau, the cheapest dual land, up to about $330. It's just taken over the number. Bottom from the, see, it's not the bottom of the reserve list anymore. It's third from the bottom. Solitude. Here's another incarnation elemental. This one's one that's got flash. The free spells are huge right now in Magic. For sure. There's free spells in almost every color. This is one of them. Solitude's worth a couple of bucks. What are they? $157 for a playset. So you're like 160 divided by 4, $40 a piece. For the Solitude, call it $50. Free spell, just like the Grief card and the Fury card, you can remove, you can exile a card from your hand, evoke this by exiling a white card from your hand, and then you can flash it in, the creature with flash. When it enters the battlefield, exile one other target creature that creature's controller gains life equal to its power. That's like a Swords to Plowshares right on there. It's got lifelink. You can evoke it, so I don't know if you can block with it. You just get it, and then you get the trigger. It's good like Grief. Benson's in the house. It's good like Grief. Oh, good grief. Right? Solitude, Grief, and Fury, the elementals that are making waves. Free spells. So you got a card like this is $50. Free spells seem to be about $50 a piece. Fierce Guardianship, and the other one, Deflecting Swat. That's another free one. Brody Midday Special. That's right, special just for you. We're talking about the fourth Aerolingus. How high can it go? Should you pick up a copy? I really considered trying to pick up a copy. Hard to find. This card right here. Pretty good. Sitting at $25 right now. It could go higher. It's not a free spell, but you know what? It's pretty good. It's got the Chalice of the Void, so this is going to shut down your opponent's 1-drops. 4 chalices, 4 costs. Then you get the Chromox. This is great because you're playing a lot of 2-color cards, like the red, white. Any 2-color card's going to fix your mana up real nice with the Chromox. You just imprint one of those on it, and it taps for either mana. Lotus Petal, pretty good card in Legacy, especially a free spell. So lots of free spells in here. You can even Chalice on 0 as a free spell. We're more or less just playing the Solitude to remove creatures and then get into the dungeon, draw extra cards. What's this Fearless Knight? Eowyn. Ah, yes, we did look at Eowyn. Only one of them. How fearless could it be? Fearless, that's why it's one. What set is that? Which card? The fourth Aerolingus. Yes. This card, I saw 4 out of 5 decks, 5 out of 6 decks playing it this past week from Lord of the Rings. Really good card. White, red, and X create X/2/2 human creature tokens with trample and haste, and then whenever one of your creatures deals combat damage to a player this turn, you become the monarch. So in a 4-player game, anybody's got shields down, you're definitely going to be able to take a hit and get that monarch trigger. You know what's really fun? Attack with broadside and then evoke. Oh, baby. Table of the Mirror Breaker. See, here's another card. Like when I got into Legacy, from what type? Because I went from Type 1 and Type 2. It was a real interesting period for Magic for me. Going from Type 1 and Type 2 to like taking a break from Magic and then going to these formats. So then you had to look at your decks and say, well, is it modern? Is it Legacy? What can I play? But so getting back into Legacy after playing Type 1 and 2, playing Painter Servant Grindstone deck, mono red. And in fact, mono red, it's viable to play Boros, Legacy Boros Painter Servant. It's really viable. It used to be kind of a Terra 2 deck with Welder. So you can get the Goblin Welder, the Goblin Engineer. You get the, there's another guy from the new Mistress block. He's really good. Then the fourth Aerolingus slots into this deck. Let's see what else. Let's see if that's Just take a look. Here's the initiative deck. I want to see if the Painter Servant. Yes, so red, white Painter is now viable, and that's another reason why the plateau is pushing up in price. Red, white Painter getting a hit, getting a bump up in play, actually even getting it into more of a Type 1, Tier 1.5 or Tier 1 Legacy deck, playing the fourth Aerolingus in there as well. So this was a deck that I really enjoyed playing when I got back into Legacy from playing Type 1 and Type 2, but just mono red Painter, or you could play red blue Painter. And I saw somebody playing 3-color Painter, so red, white, blue. Playing the fourth Aerolingus, of course, you got the Force of Will package in there. You've got Counterspell or Force of Negation in the side, and Brainstorm to set up card draws for your turn. But the Boros fourth Aerolingus card also slots right into this Boros Legacy Painter deck. And let's just see how good that Fable of the Mirror Breaker is, especially in this card. I want to see if there's the Phyrexian Dragon Engine. This is the card that I'm talking about. So this is another card along with the fourth Aerolingus. I'm going to say Aerolingus so many times, it's gonna be great. Fable, Nightmare and Standard, right? So this card's really good. It wasn't something when I played Legacy Painter, just mono red Painter, you were like trying to turn one Blood Moon if you had a deck that was weak to it, and then you were just going to welder in your Platinum Angel, so you couldn't lose, or whatever toolbox piece that you would have to win the game. Blightsteel Colossus was an option. It was good if you can swing with it, or you can even block an Eldrazi. Blightsteel's pretty great that way. So we would play the Platinum Angel, maybe the Blightsteel Colossus, and then your Painter Servant Grindstone to get your win con, and then your big creature to get back. A Sundering Titan's another card that sees play now. But the Phyrexian Dragon Engine's super good, especially in the Painter deck. So you got the Initiative deck, which is drawing lots of cards, entering dungeons, and getting the Monarch tokens now that we have this fourth Aerolingus. And the Phyrexian Dragon Engine, 2/2 double strike for 3. Now, we're not going to transform this. You're not going to meld it. You're not going to put it together and make Mishra Lost of Phyrexia. No way, no how. It's not the where you want to go with this. But in the Painter deck, card draw is really tough. You're going to engineer your artifacts into the graveyard, and you're soon going to be without a hand. It plays Sol lands, fast mana, and then 0 mana spells, artifacts, and like Spirit Guides. So you're discarding Spirit Guides to make mana and play fast spells. So you always end up needing to draw more cards, and this card really does it. The Phyrexian Dragon Engine's a 3 mana 2/2 double strike, so it's already a decent body artifact creature, so it's colorless. When it enters the battlefield from your graveyard, so when you welder this card in, you discard your hand. And I said to the fella playing it, I said, that's better than Bedlam Reveler. So if you discard your hand, then if you do, draw 3 cards. So it's basically dump your hand, welder this into play, discard 0, draw 3. Every time you welder this, you get to draw 3 or pitch, right? The Dual Brains in the house. How you doing, buddy? Nice to see Ed. Happy New Year. And Prime 406 Games, Mill Master, Benson, and everybody, Benson and friends here on the Bro Show. Talking Magic the Gathering, we're talking Plateau, Dual Lands, Revised Dual Lands, Legacy, Boros decks, and the fourth Aerolingus here over the holidays. We're talking about what we got, what was good stuff, Brody Pops, some Dual Brain MTG repacks, and a sweet couple of new singles from the card store, Phoenix Games. I'm going to round out a new Commander deck. I sort of committed to starting a new Commander deck with partners. It's not Boros, but now that I see the Aerolingus card, I want to try it in Commander. It seems good. Swords to Plowshares, Red Elemental Blast. So we talk about the Dragon Engine, which is really good. This is another deck. So what's pushing the Plateau off the bottom of the reserve list? It's this card, Phyrexian Dragon Engine, taking Legacy Painter from a mono red build to a Boros build, or even a 3-color build in some cases. This great card from the Brothers War that draws 3. So you welder this sucker in. It's pushing the Legacy Painter into a more competitive deck, as well as the fourth Aerolingus, which is basically putting bodies on the ground. Now let's just check this out. I like this interaction. The Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Let's read this card. Good card. I know you know what it does, but take a look here. First turn, you get a Goblin Shaman token with whenever it attacks, you get a treasure. Okay. So the treasure is pretty handy because you can sack it with the welder and you can welder in your Phyrexian Dragon engine or any other win con that you need, either your Painter Servant or your Grindstone. So the Fable guy is super good because he's an enchantment and he makes a 2/2 boy. And when that boy attacks, you get the treasure, and then that's an extra board piece for you to sack and welder in some good stuff. Howdy, y'all. Gaming Bob. Nice to see you, Gaming Bob. We picked up a couple of starter decks of Lorcana over the holidays and played that. That's a really fun game. I enjoyed it. So we have 2 decks. I think we got the Amethyst deck and another deck. I'm not too versed on the colors and everything, but it's a fun game. So I have a deck and a booster pack that I opened and made a deck. So now Lorcana, yeah, I think I'll be playing more Lorcana. Hard to say. Willing to place them on Spell Table, definitely. Now that I have a deck, I can definitely play some Lorcana. And I would play more of it. It was sort of like, let's see how this game actually performs. And it was really fun. I think it's interesting how there's no blocking in the game. And just a totally different gameplay experience. Well, not totally different. I could see somebody wanting to get into somebody who tried Lorcana and liked it and actually learned how to play it could easily get into Magic. So it's a bit of a gateway card, if you know what I mean. I think it is a great gateway to Magic. Well, there, be kind. There's kind of blocking, yes. Good to see you, Bob. So let's check this out. Fable of the Mirror Breaker, this enchantment card, really good. It's a saga and lots of sagas. So this is in the mono red painter. So this giving the painter servant card from Kamigawa, this giving it a little bit more of a boost. Another reason the plateau's seeing more play. So over the last year or two, the painter deck has really got some support. It's nice to see. You get the 2/2 Goblin Shaman that makes a treasure token. Of course, it's an artifact. The second proc on this says you may discard up to 2 cards if you do draw that many cards. So this and the Dragon engine are your card drawing engines. So now we have card drawing engines in the painter deck. The third proc, you exile the saga and you return it to the battlefield transformed, and you get the Cheeky Jeeky. The Cheeky Jeeky or the Kiki Jeeky? The cheekiest of Jeekies. The 2/2 token, that's another non-legendary creature, except it has haste. And that's never a bad thing when you're playing Painter. You can make copies of things, and then you can do stuff with them, like attack or activate them, and then you can sack them to the welder before they go away if they're an artifact. Also, we're running this Canonista. The Canonista. Very, very interesting. Let's check out the movers and the shakers. Friday. Or maybe there's an article. Shazam Dijin and the Vesuvian Doppelganger. Old Man of the Sea. Gaia's Cradle. There it is. It's up 2% already. Picked one of these up over the weekend. Or before the weekend. Over the week. Holidays. All right. Check it out. What do we got? Let's find an article for you folks. Weekly winners. Hello, December 28th. This come out yesterday. Virgin giving us an article to read for you people here today. The fourth Aerolingus. Let's see if we hear any more of this card in the news. We're definitely going to make some headlines with the fourth Aerolingus. All right, the end is near, or at least let's make this a little bigger. And Brody can read it. Do that. Oh. All right, the end is near, or at least the end of 2023. The finance market is cooling down, and there is fortunately still plenty to talk about. Like every week, just in time for F&M, I'll tell you about Magic the Gathering cards that'll be here on the Talk of the Town tonight. All right, Arjun, what have you got to talk about this time? Let's discuss this week's price movements with Brody Alfonso here on this Friday, end of the year stream 2023. The cards that I think are going to be super hot, popular, and good coming into the new year. I think we already know. Let's talk about talk picks. Here's a card. All right, the end is near and it's very close to now, which means we'll be posting the first part of the yearly weekly winners. I want you to know. All right, if you want to. This mythical creature from Innistrad, Midnight Hunt, is probably mostly unknown. How unknown is it? Okay, the mostly unknown card. Immediately after it was printed, it was quickly found out that it had a home in standard mono red decks. Having a 2/2 hasty creature for 1 red and 1 isn't already decent for aggro decks in the early game, but Bloodthirsty Adversary is also a decent draw in the mid game when you have sufficient mana to pump it once and cast a burn spell from your graveyard for free. We got a vampire, a 2/2 vamp. When it enters the battlefield, you may pay a red and 2 any number of times. Oh, you can just pump mana into this. When you pay this cost 1 or more times, put that many +1/+1 counters on Bloodthirsty Adversary, then exile up to that many target instant or sorcery cards with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard and copy them. What? You may cast any number of the copies without paying their mana cost. You may cast any number of the copies without paying their mana cost? This thing is crazy. So you get free copies. Maybe you're going to hit bolt, eh? Morning Cosmic Seeds. Whoa, it's not early morning. Yo, my peeps. That's sort of what I thought. So the Bloodthirsty Adversary, flashing back stuff from the graveyard, a little bit like the new enchantment card that does the same thing. I like the mana cost on it. A 2/2 with haste doesn't seem bad. We're going to flash back stuff from the mana from the graveyard with no mana cost. Hasty 2/2s with an upside are frequently adopted in standard mono red decks. Recently, we've had Feldon, Ronom Exconar, Feldon, the Ronom Activator. So this is Feldon he's got Feldon's cane on him. Very cool. So we finally get a look at Feldon here and Robber of the Rich. This is a card that I'm also playing Commander. And of course, Charming Scoundrel, which all fit the bill. However, the last one can also be a 1/1, but inexperienced players may say that is usually played with a Wicked Roll attached to it, making it a 2/2. Robber of the Rich, kind of like almost like a Ragavan. It's like a poor man's Ragavan. I'm running the Robber of the Rich, by the way, because I don't have a Ragavan and I refuse to pay for it. If I got to trade for it, I'm not going to buy it. I don't want to buy a Ragavan, so I'm actually running the Robber of the Rich. Okay, Reach Haste, Robber of the Rich attacks. If defending player has more cards in hand than you, you exile the top card of their library. During any time in which you attacked with a rogue, you may cast that card, and you may spend mana as any color to pay it. Mana cost. Robber the Rich, pretty good card. And Commander, also very nice. Robber the Rich is good in Explorer. Thank you, Benson. And these red guys make up mono red rush in Arena. Yes, the red guys. Some newer stuff, right? Giving red some. Red's had a pretty good year. I tried finding a reason for Bloodthirsty Adversary to move up all of a sudden, but the most valid reason I could find is this mono red aggro is doing really well in standard currently in the MitGo challenge. A few days ago, it ranked #1 with this Red Deck Wins. This is the version of the Red Deck Wins playing the Hasty Boys. The Godric Monastery Swiftspear, of course. We're going to be hitting some prowess triggers with that. Godric, the Cloaked Reveler, Squee. Squee's very good. And then Feldon. 2/2 Haster, Excavator can't block when Feldon is dealt damage. Exile that many cards from the top of your library. Choose one of them until end of turn. You may play that card. So Feldon, very good as well. I might want to try and pick up a copy of this. 39 cents for Feldon. Pretty good little red, guys. Next card up here for the weekly winners, we have Virtue of Loyalty, $25, so it's up quite a bit, up 78%. The Mythic from Wilds of Eldraine is quickly moving up, and Ardenvale Fealty side of Virtual Loyalty can give you a 2/2 white knight with Vigilance, while the enchantment side will buff your entire team at the end of your turn and untap them, giving them pseudo-vigilance. This is a versatile card. We see it appear in standard decks and decks that want to go wide. Recently, the card's also been popping up in Pioneer Spirits, and it remains to be seen if it's going to be here to stay, but this is definitely going to be an interesting card to keep an eye on. Already moving up the Virtual Loyalty, this enchantment, it's a 5 mana, so this is like Wrath mana. It's quite expensive, 2 white and 3, so you need double white. This one, it's got the adventure on it, so for 2, a white and 1, you get the Ardenvale Fealty, the Fealty, my lord. Fealty. Speaking of Vikings, you get the Fealty Knight, and you get the creature token with Vigilant. And then if you play it as the enchantment, you get the end step, 1/1 counter, and then an untap on all your creatures. So pretty decent. Early game, you can get the Knight. Love Cursed Totem, too. Haha! Cursed Totem's a really crazy card. I saw it when I started getting back into Magic and deciding to try and build a commander deck. But we were actually playing like Canadian Highlander. And Cursed Totem seemed really good for me. For 2 mana, you can't. It's like a null rod for creature activations. So yeah, the Cursed Totem, I was really surprised why that card hadn't seen more price action. But now it's $2, so it's a good card long term if you have had copies since Mirage. Virtue has also found its way into kitchen table commanders. Recently, some interesting commanders have been printed that go good with this card. They're obviously in decks that we want to go wide and play a bunch of 3 or small creatures to make them grow. Interesting commanders among them are Anim Pakal, Thousand Moon, Oger Tak, and Deepest Foundations, and Aragon Hornburg Hero, the borderless is showing here. So we got these 3 commanders that are also sort of making this enchantment rise. The Virtual Loyalty, pretty cool. These are the commander cards. So a Boros commander, whenever you attack with one of our non-gnome creatures, you put a 1/1 counter on an Anim Pakal. Then you get that many 1/1 colorless gnome artifact creatures that are tapped and attacking, where X is the number of 1/1 counters on Anim Pakal. Another reason to make more Aerolingus. Aerolingi? What's the plural for Aerolingus? Is it Aerolingi? And then we got this commander here, mono white. Does it have partner? I like the partner commander. I'm going to try to build a partner deck. Oger Tak, the Deepest Foundation, legendary creature, 6/6, vigilance. It's a god card. If 1 or more creature tokens would be created 3 times, not once, not twice, but thrice. Thrice tokens. When Oger Tak dies, return it to the battlefield, tapped and transformed under its owner's control. Okay, so what do you get when she flips? No? Yes, no? Okay, well, let's just, let's carry on. It's fine. It's fine. And then finally, this borderless commander shown here, Aragon Hornburg Hero. Nah, we're not going to read that card. Let's keep going. Let's read them all. Attacking creatures you control have first strike and renown 1. When the creature with renown 1 deals combat damage to a player, if it isn't removed, put a 1/1 counter on it and it becomes renowned. Whenever a renowned creature you control deals combat damage to a player double the amount of counters on it. Pretty decent card, Aragon. Yeah. All right. That's all cards pushing up the enchantment costs. Zelix the Sanity Slayer. This one's up 200%. Some cards I haven't really had an eye on. Not really the standard cards or the new arena stuff. So this is nice for me to see. Up 216%. Creature horror. It's a horror, so it's horror type is actually a pretty good creature type. It doesn't blink to thing in the ice. So that's the first thing that I think of when I see a horror creature. It's got Hive Mind. Whenever a player mills one or more creature cards, you create a 1/1 black horror creature token. And then a 1 and a tap it. Target player mills 3 cards. So this goes in a mill deck, and it's got choose a background. So that's that enchantment that lets you have a second commander, which is a background. 14.99, up 216%. Well, this particular version of Zenith's the Insanity Slayer has gone up quite a bit since the last week. The Zealous obviously wants to be played in a deck that tries to mill yourself or your opponents. Whenever a creature is milled, you get the 1/1 horror. It also comes with background, and it seems that the most common way to use Zealous Haunted One, which is probably not coincidentally, is also gaining value. I think the card that comes to mind is like Narcomoeba. Why wouldn't you want to play this in Dredge? Or a deck that Narcomoeba? I think Narcomoeba would be good because if it enters from your graveyard, then you, or if it enters your I think it enters your graveyard. Let's check the Narcomoeba. Narcomoeba. It's weird to say Narcomoeba. The Narcomoeba is put into your graveyard from your library. You may put it onto the battlefield. So this is kind of what I don't think you're playing creatures you can cast. You're playing creatures that when they enter the battlefield they proc, like this one. So you get to mill. Whenever a player mills one or more creature cards, you create a black, and then target player mills 3. So you can mill yourself. You mill your Narcomoeba, then you get the 1/1 horrors, and you get the Narcomoebas to enter. That would be kind of jank. Why not? Let's see what else we got. Haunted One. Hein. It's very possible that this commander coupler is getting more popular due to the printing of newer cards that support 1 or 2 strategies. Milling and Tribal Horror. In the Lost Caverns of Ixalan, we see secret cards. They may work very well with Zelix, and examples of these are Roaming Throne and Restless Reef and Starving Revenant. So this is the Haunted One. What's the Restless Reef? Restless Reef's a land. It taps for it's a Dimir land and makes a 4/4. It's a man land. Relentless Reef becomes a 4/4 blue and black shark creature. Okay, it's a shark land, fish land. It's still a land. When Relentless Reef attacks, what? When it attacks, target player mills 4 cards. Decent. The Starving Revenant's a 4 mana boy. I think is this horror type. Yes. When Starving Revenant enters the battlefield, surveil 2. Then for each card put on top of your library, you draw a card and lose 3 life. Huh? Surveil 2. Okay, so if you put them back on top, then you lose 3 life for surveilling. Downside to surveilling with this guy, but then you get Descend 8, which says whenever you draw a card, if there are 8 or more permanent cards in your graveyard, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain a life. Just for drawing a card. So you need 8 or more permanent cards in your graveyard. So milling yourself can be good. Starving Revenant and the Roaming Throne. Oh yeah, this is the card draw engine. Ward 2 enters the battlefield tap. It's you choose a creature. No, it doesn't enter tap. You enters the battlefield. You choose a creature type, and then creatures of it's an anthem. Chooses the creature type. It says if an ability of that creature type triggers, it triggers an additional time. So it's like a panharmonicon effect. Why not? How much is this baby up? Celix. Playing Sanity is up to $15. The foil version. Why not? First totem. Okay, let's keep on rolling. These some cheap pickups listed here by Arjun. What is he suggesting here? Insurrection. 8 mana card. 8, yes. Untap all creatures, you can gain control of them until end of turn. They gain haste. I like this card. For a red deck, a multiple attack step deck, this just gives you everything? This is great. Okay. 8 mana. It's hit a bottom of $4, and it could be moving up. Insurrection's been identified as MTG Stocks Premium Penny Stocks feature as the card that has searched and found its bottom and is starting to consistently uptrend. So finding your bottom, very important. Glad someone caught my message. I'm just going back over comments. Posted on Discard, not sure when you're going to be awake, but we'll see. Comments are just flying by. What do we got here? DJ, do you like dragons? This one's a legendary one. Her dragon, borderless, 21 bucks. I think I just traded one of these in. It's moving up. Okay, let's check it out. Benson, what do you think of this version? As long as our dragon is in the command zone in the battlefield, dragon spells you cast cost 1 less. It's 5 mana. Pips, and then a 1. No, and 4. Holy smokes, this is a 9 mana commander. 10/10, when one or more dragons you control attack, draw that many cards. Then you may put a permanent card from your hand on the battlefield, probably another dragon? Why not? I'm not playing the dragon. Nope. It's too janky. I think it's more of like a big, they call it a battle cruiser type commander. He's definitely a battle cruiser commander. You're not going to turn one your commander with this guy. Faced off against a Taiwanese commander player who used this. Cleaned house. The one legacy card I still want to move on a playset is Transmute Artifact. Well, Millmaster, I was at the store just the other day before I come back, and I looked at a Transmute Artifact. That's the 2 mana one, and it was $400. And I was like, oh, I don't have Transmute Artifact. I think I picked up some copies of Power Artifact, and I didn't pick up the Transmute. It's still relevant. It's really relevant in the fact that card's so old, and it's still relevant in this day and age makes it super, super fantastic. So you get to Transmute, really good card. What is it? Let's see. Maybe he was tabbing me on, but Transmute from Antiquities. Yeah, 300 US. So I had a really nice one. This is the 2 mana sack an artifact. If you do search for an artifact card that's converted mana cost is less than or equal to the sack's artifact's casting cost, put it on the battlefield. If it's greater, you may pay X, where that's the difference. If you do, put it on the battlefield. If you don't, put it in its owner's graveyard, then shuffle. So this will actually go tutor and put something in the bin for you. Get it back with a welder. You could just put it in the bin and welder it into play, right? If you don't put it in its owner's grave, yeah, if you do put it on the battlefield, if you don't put it in its owner's graveyard, you transmute. And speaking of red, blue painter, right? So you can transmute whatever artifact you want into the bin and then welder it into play. Why not? Another tutor. Transmuter and tutor. It's not instant speed, but it still fills the need, if you know what I'm saying. What else we got going down here, folks? Folks, we got some jokes. What's the snowman's New Year's resolution? To chill out more? Okay. Let's keep going. Razaketh the Foul-Blooded, $7.48. He's super foul. Razaketh. Flying Trample 8/8? Costs 8 mana, so 3 black and 5. You pay 2 life and sack another creature. Search your library for a card, put it into your hand, and then shuffle. Pay 2 life and tutor while sacking a creature. That seems pretty busted. Decent commander, legendary creature. Can you build around this 8 mana 8/8? I don't know, but it definitely gets you as many tutors you want. It's a triggered ability or an activated ability, so you could probably copy it. Razaketh the Foul-Blooded. And that's it for this week. Okay, so $7.48 starting to move up. Maybe we'll see if we got another article over here at the Rocks desk for you folks, because I like seeing it. So what we see over the holidays, we saw somebody getting a resealed box from Amazon of Commander Masters. That shenanigans is going on, especially over the holidays. So that's really too bad. Another reason to support your local game store. We also seen some more printing Printing and the layoff. I wonder how the folks with the layoffs are doing. Was 30 USDs at one point. Original Raza tanked hard. It was up, hey? Okay. MTG Vampire sees absurd prices. $70 price increase. Reprints to the MTG community have, for the most part, been incredible. Some cards got reprinted more than they needed to, but a ton of high demand Magic singles did see reprints at some point this year, making them a lot easier to access for players. Commander Giants, like the Dragon, certainly got a lot more affordable. The Dragon, which we were just talking about, it's a little cheaper now, worth over $80 in February. The cards dropped to just 17, and a reprint in Commander Masters back in August, capture of Jingu. From the same set, maybe the most drastic drop of 2023, you can now find these for only $17, while easy prices eclipse 200 before August reprint. Unfortunately, even scarce demand Commanders cards saw a reprint this year. Commander 2017's exclusive cards have traditionally demanded quite a lot of money at the last cards. It is yet to see a reprint. This steeply increased in price. Edgar Markov is more expensive now than ever. Edgar? Edgar, what are you doing? Edgar Markov. I remember I think he was banned, right? Whenever you cast Edgar Markov, holy smokes! Edgar Markov, another vampire spell. Edgar Manzo. I think I must have this. He's expensive. Ugh. The Edgar deck. I think I refused to buy the Edgar deck. No, I probably have it. I think I bought the Edgar deck. I can't remember if you got the full Edgar or you just got the. Let's check the Gatherer, but I thought it was banned. Let's see here. Edgar. Commander. Oh, he's legal now. There was a time when this card was banned in Commander. So that stands to reason maybe he got unbanned. Too good, right? Whenever you cast a vampire, you get a vampire creature token. So he's got Eminence. He was the first one, I think, with Eminence. Really good card. So the Edgar Markov, wow, that's huge. Never thought he would be actually that expensive again. $75. I think he was in a Commander deck. Yes, oversized Edgar Markov. Okay, maybe I just have the oversized one. The oversized cards are $20. I wonder if you could get how much is the Edgar Markov? Let's go to eBay. Can you find the Edgar Markov Commander deck? Let's see here. Edgar Markov EDH Commander deck, 100 cards. You can buy the whole deck here for $260. Custom made Magic Commander. 0 matches. You want the foil? He's $216. Wow. I missed that. He definitely took a pump up in price. Edgar may be the best vampire commander available in Magic, despite high mana value for 6. Yeah, but you don't need to play it. It just sits in the command zone and it just does stuff. It's rare to see such an expensive commander even be eligible at this level to play, and the biggest reason for its eligibility at even the most competitive tables is due to a keyword the card possesses. Eminence. It works from the command zone, which ironically makes the problem with Edgar massive mana value somewhat obsolete. You don't even need to cast this card for it to start generating nauseating amount of value. That said, Edgar really does not need to be at the helm of the vampire deck for Eminence to pay dividends, since it only triggers when you cast another vampire spell. Should you do so, Edgar rewards you with a 1/1 creature. All right, ton of different ways you can take advantage of this. People playing Blood Rights, Flavio, bunch of cards making vampires. Historically, Edgar has not been seeing huge spikes overnight, but all the current variants of this card, legal and sanctioned play, have seen a massive spike over the last 3 months. Both the Judge foils and the Commander 2017 variant have spiked by at least $70, meaning that the price of the Commander 2017 is now doubled in price over the last 3 months, according to TCG Player Values. The Edgar Markov printing has increased from $74 to $159. Doubling in price, the conditional language of the card make it dependent on what you're going to pay for it. There's a Judge foil to this card. It's even more expensive, but it doesn't spike the same amount as the last 3 cards. Other vampires spiking in price is Captivating Vampire. This is the one that gives buff. It's a lord. Other vampires you control get 1/1. You tap 5 vampires that are untapped and gain control of target creature. It also becomes a vampire, so it takes other vampires. And much like Merfolk Finance we talked about a few days ago, there's Vampire Finance. So like Merfolk Finance has been a thing over the last year. Marrow Regery and a few really good Merfolk cards making waves. The Stifle ability on a creature is really good, but the Vampire Tribal is definitely... Oh, Baron Senger? Check him out. The Baron. How's the Baron doing? The Homelands. Baron Senger. $6 for the Noble. Legendary Vampire Noble. What else we got? Charismatic Conqueror. Vampires losing value. Vigilance. Whenever an artifact or creature enters the battlefield untapped and under an opponent's control, they may tap that permanent. If they don't, you get a 1/1 vampire creature token with lifelink. Very cool card. Makes your opponents have to decide whether or not they're going to tap, have their creatures enter tapped and give you the 1/1. Merfolk making waves. Yes. You like that. All right, let's check it out. 2 new vampire cards from the Lost Calves of Ixalan. Can I call it Lost Calves? The Lost Calves are pretty expensive. The secondary market values that said despite their popularity, they're actually going down in value. Charismatic Conqueror looks fantastic for Commander, and it's an easy addition to a go-wide vampire deck. The Charismatic one forces you, your opponents, to make the difficult choice of slowing down their board states and their artifact deployment, or allowing you to generate a ton of tokens. And the Dungeon's Dismantler. Anything that tapping artifacts for fast mana in the format can be pretty powerful. Despite how popular this card is, the Charismatic one is still trying to find its price point. The card may have dropped from $21 down to $13, but it remains one of Magic's most expensive vampire cards. Bloodletter, so keep an eye on that one. Bloodletter of Aclazots, and more other vampires on the list. The most confusing cards in Magic the Gathering. Oh, Chains. Fetch lands. And Nazgul. Interesting. Back to the movers, back to the shakers. We've seen what's moved this week, and let's take a look here. The all list. We want to see it all. All right. Did we say it or did we say it? Can we say it one more time? Plateau, a card that I'm very fond of. Interesting to see it here, right? On the movers and the shakers. We're going to talk about it just a little bit. So the Beta Plateau, topping the list. Oh, this would definitely make sense. Okay, flavorfully, it tunes into what we were talking about earlier today. So the Plateau card, definitely the dual lands are the cards that people really want to acquire when they're just starting out in EDH, because they fix your mana base. And the Plateau used to be the cheapest one ever. Have recommended Plateau a number of times as a way to start getting into dual lands. But when you have something do a head over heels like this, say you get the Plateau and it's the cheapest one in the game, and then all of a sudden red gets a bump, and for reasons we discussed, for the 4th Aerolingus reason, for reasons like 4th Aerolingus, then all of a sudden you're not holding on to the crappiest bottom end of the reserve list dual lands. You're holding on to the 3rd from the bottom. And now cards like Savannah and Scrubland are definitely taking a tumble. Interesting to see this. It could be market manipulation. Is it real? I think maybe some speculation. This one's showing a tick up. Beta lands. $2,600. Selling out in stores. People want to get the black bordered version of the Plateau. Time Walk, another card, seeing a big price increase. 7,000, can that be right? Ay, rumba. Funny, because I did see a couple of copies of this for sale in the showcase of Phoenix Games. Couldn't go for it. 2 Time Walk. Winter Orb from Beta, also seeing a bump up in price. This stuff doesn't allow you to untap stuff. Up the Beanstalk control deck playing the Winter Orb. Very cool. And then we got the Meekstone, Shivan Dragon, all the black bordered cards. It seems as though the sales are heavy with the black bordered versions of cards from some of the revised sets and older. So like your betas. And the Ancestral, this is a funny card. Disrupting Scepter and Warp Artifact. The Warp Artifact, not a favorite of mine. All it does is a damage for an artifact's controller each turn. But this card here, Disrupting Scepter, used to be the Bane Scepter. Discard players. Chaos Confetti. Over the Chaos Warp. I could see that. I think that's the one you have to tear up into little pieces, right? So for New Year's Eve, maybe the Chaos Confetti is a better choice. All right, New Year's Eve, what are you folks doing? Are you heading to Times Square for New Year's Eve this year? I always thought Times Square was overrated just because they drop the ball on it every year. Don't seem to get it right. What are you doing? We're just going to a little New Year's Eve shindig over at a friend's place. And if you're a Caterpillar this year, try turning over a new leaf. Get yourself a New Year's resolution and have a cocoon time. Wheel of Fortune, another card on the wheels list that I'm thinking of putting in a deck. Yes. And the Meekstone from Beta also topping the list. Some big price increases, 100% across the board. Wow. 200% on the Plateau, 100 on the Time Walk, 100%, 100%, 60%. This seems fishy. I don't know. Keep your eye on some of these old card prices. We're heading into a new year here where we might just see some still relaxation in the reserve list market. Weekly change is, okay, Time Walk, Mock Sapphire, Time Twister, Tega. Very cool. That's it. That's all. There is no more. There's nothing more to talk about other than the 4th Aerolingus and Painter's Servant in Legacy. Painter's Servant, the 4th Aerolingus, Plateau, and Boros decks. I like it. Seems like a lot of fun. Thank you, all you folks, for tuning in today here on the show. I appreciate you, each and every one of you. We're like at the pushing the 350 subscriber mark. So thanks again for watching. I really appreciate that. It helps the channel grow when you guys tune in. Hit that likey button, the subscribe button, and any of the other buttons that you can find over on the screen. Just go ahead and hit them. You can even hit the thumbs down. Doesn't bother me. Well, before we go, I'll leave you with this one. Merry Christmas. Hope you had a good one and a Happy New Year. We'll talk to you again real soon.